Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen Workshop. It is December 3rd, 2024. It is 6:30 p.m. The prayer on Thursday night will be with Alderwoman Hobbs, or have the Pledge of Allegiance. First item we will have is the oath of office ceremonies for Alderman Graham Coates and Alderman Steve No. Then we will have the minutes. We'll have a couple different presentations, a certificate of appreciation for Dennis Waldron. We will have a presentation from some of our Rutherford County commissioners, and then we will have the new Laverne High School football coach, Christopher Johnson, here. Then we'll move on to the public comment period and departmental reports. Then we will move on to old business, which is second reading ordinance 2024-16, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 equitable sharing fund budget. And let's hop down here. This is, as I said, second reading. This is to purchase 10 Motorola radios and accessories, as well as 2 LPRs. And the total on this budget amendment is $115,000. Any questions? Then we're going to move into our consent agenda, and we've got approve or reject city bids and purchases. First, we've got the state contract purchase, landscape dump truck for the stormwater department, and this is just like it sounds. It's a landscape dump truck. Total cost of the vehicle is $140,000. We did budget in the stormwater fund $150,000. And this is purchased from Cumberland International Trucks. Any questions? Then the second one, which is the state contract purchase, Motorola radios for the police department. And this is $86,584. And this is, again, radios for the police department. The new radios will require programming, batteries, and other accessories. Any questions? Next, we've got approved change order number 1 with Turner Security for the modification of access control, closed circuit television, and network wiring for the Public Works Community Development Services facility. And this is just like it is. This is going to increase the proposed modifications for change order 1 is $26,764. It's going to add Wi-Fi throughout the building. Add an exterior camera for the loading docks, and it's going to revise the access control doors. Does anyone have any questions? Then we move on to approve amendment number 2 to grant contract 77833-150 of the State Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance for the recruitment and retention grant. This extends the terms of the grant by 12 days. So that it ends March 19th of 2028. Other than that, there's no financial impact for the city. Does anyone have any questions on that? Number D, approve lease agreement with Rutherford County for the Solid Waste Convenience Center on Sand Hill Road. This is one through just looking and discussing. We discovered that the Sand Hill Road Convenience Center lease that the board approved in 2011 was not approved at the county level, and so we never received that back. So this is getting in place a new lease agreement. The terms of it is 1 year, as Rutherford County plans to move that convenience center further down off of Sand Hill over near LaSalle and Gingham. And so that will free up some city property over by Parks and Recreation and clear up a lot of congestion on that curve. Is there any questions?
Not that it matters, but I am curious. How did that slip through the cracks?
I wasn't here in 2011, so I don't know that one. But it basically did. I know there was some change out with personnel back then, but regardless, we found it, identified it, and got it fixed.
It doesn't matter, but yep. I was just curious how it could.
Yep, but we've been working with Mayor Carr, Eric Hennessy, Evan's been going back and forth, and we got everything ironed out, and this is in place if we approve it. So moving on to E, approve scope of work and professional services agreement with Get Res Q 911 for the police department dispatch staffing services. This is basically to contract in one dispatcher, and for 6 months, price on it's $72,000, and it just basically is there. We've had, I believe, one employee quit and one terminated, so this gives them more flexibility and make sure that we're not too short-staffed. And during that time, we will be interviewing new candidates, testing them, and seeing about getting them trained. So I think we had one today testing. Is that right, Andrew? Yeah. Are there any questions on that? Okay. F, approve revisions to the Park and Recreation Pavilion rental policy. And this is essentially half-day rentals are $25, full days are $50, and it sets the times for both full and half days. And this separates our pavilions from our building rentals, and then it sets the guidelines for them. Does anyone have any questions? And then to go along with that, we've got G, which is the approve revisions to the Parks and Recreation building rental policy, and this splits the building into their own. So same deal as far as it sets full day at $300 with a $300 deposit. Available rentals are 12 to 10 p.m. Is there any questions? Moving on to H. Approve equipment and software master subscription agreement with Recor Recognition Systems Incorporated for automated license plate recognition Phase 3 expansion. And so this is total cost is $27,650. This is for one pole, a solar kit, battery, and 2 cameras with a transmitter box. And this is for our LPRs, our LPR unit. So, does anyone have any questions? My understanding is these have been very effective in the city. Is that right, Conrad?
That's correct, and this one's going to be up at Crothers in the city limits.
Okay. It goes back to basically where, if you're going in or out, we're having one there.
Yeah, it's one pole, 2 cameras shooting both ways.
Okay. Moving on to new business. First reading ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance to amend Title 20, Chapter 2, Section 20-208 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding Parks and Recreation user fees. And this is changes made. It removes inline hockey. It renamed the cleaning fees, changed the rental times for the multipurpose building to be consistent. Allows a 50% discount for to nonprofit organizations if they show proof of nonprofit status, things like that. And it's updating what we have. I know the big financial impact would be the 50% for discount for nonprofits. And I think this came out of some discussions that David and I and Evan and I have had in regards to some of our local groups like the Scouts looking for facilities to use. So still think we can do some work on that, but it's at least a step in the right direction. Does anyone have any questions on that?
If this passes, David, what kind of ETA are we working on to start that process? Man, made him get up.
I think an ordinance may take 2 readings, so if you guys approved it this month, then after January, it could probably start. I would like to say, like on the 50% nonprofit discount, We have not had a policy in place before, so we're trying to streamline so we make sure we're being fair across the board. We did some research. Our neighbors next door do not offer any kind of discount for nonprofits or even school groups. Mount Juliet offers a 25% discount, so we felt comfortable with a 50% discount. Whatever you guys decide, that's up to you guys. In the past, we've given nonprofits access to the buildings at no charge, but how do we do that across the board? So whatever you guys decide, we would just ask that there's no gray area left there, so it's up to our department or the city to decide who gets to use the building at no charge. Because we definitely don't want to get ourselves in a bind. That's what we're trying to clean up a little bit.
So what you're saying is we need to modify this to have the director's discretion.
Actually, that was in here previously, and we took that out.
Yeah.
Just because we don't want to pick and choose who we decide gets it. You know, church group comes, do we give that to them half price, full price? Traditionally, they've been charged full price. Nonprofit, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Boxing Club, they've had access to the building at no charge because they're a nonprofit that the city supports. But at some point, we got to try to clean that up, so we're not putting ourselves as an department in a bind. Well, you gave it to them at no charge, so then we feel obligated to give it to somebody else, and I mean, where does it stop? You know, we got to just figure out where there's no gray area where we're not getting caught in the middle of it.
And legal loves that at the director's discretion, right?
Right, yeah, that's not what you want to see sometimes.
We definitely don't want to
It's
see
much
it.
better.
Yeah, we definitely don't like to see that because then it puts all the pressure on our department. So if we have something in writing, black and white, we can always refer back to that. So it can't be like, well, 2 years ago, I got to do this at this cost, or there was no charge, or our policy, you know, it evolves and changes, so that at least gives us something to lean on.
Okay. Thank you, David.
And do you have to be a resident of Laverne to rent that building, or somebody outside Laverne can rent it?
Currently, if any facility is available, it gets rented. We have done a little research on the multipurpose building. Out of the past year, it has rented to Laverne residents 1/3 of the time. So 2/3 out of the time, I think there was maybe, just say there were 60 rentals, 20 of them were Laverne residents, 40 of them were outside Antioch, Nashville, Murfreesboro. So, I mean, we don't pick and choose if it's available. Some policies do give residents, local residents, Smyrna May, Murfreesboro May, local residents first choice, and maybe a little discount there, but we try not to go that direction.
It's on a first come, first served, so if somebody books a date,
Yes, sir. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, David. Moving on to number 9, first reading 2024-18, an ordinance to amend City of Laverne fee schedule for Parks and Recreation user fees. This is just cleaning up some of our ordinance, and so, it's just adding in what we've discussed here. Moving on to number 10, first reading ordinance 2024-19, an ordinance to amend the Laverne Municipal Code by deleting Title 2, Chapter 5, Economic Development Advisory Committee. And this is to essentially disband the Economic Development Advisory Committee. And it is not met. I believe it's met once in the last year. And it's essentially turned into where we get an update from the county as to what they're doing, and we just explain to that board what the city is already doing. And so there's a little bit of redundancy there, so the proposal for this is to disband that. Is there any questions?
You know, I've often wondered in the last 6 years, but I haven't said anything, but I've often wondered why we have so many committees.
Because everyone loves committees. Bruce loves to schedule the advertisements
Yeah,
for
well,
them.
you know, from that and overtime and employees having to stay and,
Well, that's what the next few ordinances are addressing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I read through this and, like you said, I don't see a lot of stuff getting done. You got the state and county calling and backing up, and I just don't see it as a necessity.
Any other questions? Moving on to first reading ordinance 2024-20, an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 2, Section 2-202 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the duties of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and to delete Title II, Chapter 3 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the Greenway Advisory Committee. This is, just as it sounds, it is essentially folding the Greenway Advisory Committee in with the Parks and Recreation. Essentially, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee would assume all of the duties of the Greenway Advisory Committee, and the Greenway Advisory Committee would be disbanded. David, how many times has the Greenway Advisory Committee met in the last year or two, actually?
I think we're scheduled to meet every quarter, maybe. There hasn't really been a lot of movement on the Greenway, so we may have had one meeting in the last year just as an update to tell them we were at a stalemate. Other than that, even if we do meet, it's 10 minutes tops, maybe.
Okay.
Now, I know that there's several citizens that are on these boards that they really feel like they're getting involved, and I can appreciate that 100%. If this passes, will the Park and Rec Board that I presently chair, will it do both of those completely, or will some of the Greenway members come over and make the board bigger?
No, it doesn't change the membership of the Parks and Recreation, bless you, of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. It disbands the Greenway Advisory Committee, but all the duties of the Greenway fall under Parks and Recreation at that point. Okay. So those people can still attend your meetings, because all the meetings are open to the public, and can be involved. I know when I was just before I ran for office, I would sit in on some of the Parks and Recreation meetings, and they would ask for feedback from the audience at times. So people can still be involved and show up to meetings. And then I'm sure we've got other boards that have openings as well. I want to say there's one for beautification that has been open for months. So, thank you, David. Bless you. Let's see here. Moving on to 12, first reading 2024-21, an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 5, Section 2-504 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the powers and duties of the Library Board, and to delete Title II, Chapter 4 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. This is similar to the prior one, and it would just simply roll those duties into the Library Board and disband the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. Does anyone have any questions on that? Seeing none, number 13, Resolution 2024-29, a resolution of the City of Laverne Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare property owned by the city to be surplus to the city's needs and directing disposal of the same. You should be able to see we've got a couple different items in here. The biggest things are the donations to Alexandria and Gordonsville, with some of our no longer in use police vehicles and some storage containers. My big question on this, Bruce, because I know you and I have kind of gone back and forth on some questions with it, is we will be removing all decals, anything that says Laverne on it, before it goes to any of these groups. Is that right?
That would be my understanding, yes. They'll have to put their own identification
No YouTube videos.
on those vehicles, yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to hold off, is what Vice Mayor is talking about. We've had that, so I'm wanting to make sure that's clear beforehand. And then I don't know if police department can comment on this, but they will be picking up the vehicles and equipment, or not the equipment, but the storage units. We're not going to be delivering it to them.
That's my understanding. If it had a cost to it, that would have to be presented, I believe.
Okay. Any other questions? These are 2013 vehicles. So if you look at how much we drive our vehicles, 2013 vehicles are pretty beat up. Any questions? Okay, moving on to 14, Resolution 2024-13, a resolution to donate surplus police vehicles and storage containers to the Alexandria, Tennessee Police Department. This ties into what we were just talking about. Does anyone have any questions on that? And then the second part of that, Resolution 2024-31, a resolution to donate surplus police vehicles to the Gordonsville, Tennessee Police Department. Again, those three all kind of flow together, but they're all dealing with the same items. Okay, moving on to appoint or remove board and committee members. First, we have Beautification and Arts and Advisory Committee, which is the open position we were just talking about. We don't have any applicants as it sits right now, but if we do, that will be on the agenda. We've got Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. We've got appoint one council position, and one term is vacant. Next, we have the Laverne Housing Authority. We have one term expired on 11/30, November 30th, and that is their president, Miss Brenda Bryant, who I hear she still wants to remain on that board, and so she is our only applicant. So I will see about appointing that on Thursday night. Next, we've got the Laverne Industrial Development Board. We've got one term vacant. Mr. Graham Coates has stepped off that board after his hard-fought election win. And we have one applicant for that board currently, Ms. Jamie Knight. And that will be decided on Thursday. If there are more applicants, we will address that Thursday. Next, we've got the library board. We've got appoint city council position. I will tell you, I've requested to come off the board because I have essentially completed the big thing I wanted, which was the bylaws being updated. And so we will appoint a new council member position to that. And then we've got two terms that expire at the end of December. Next, we have the Planning Commission. We've got appoint council position. One term is vacant. We've also got one term that expires on December 31st. So we currently, the council position will be decided at the meeting, and if we get any applications between now and Thursday, this will be updated. Next, we have the Stormwater Appeals and Advisory Board. We've got appoint council position, and then we've got two terms that expire at the end of the year. Those are Miss Mary Jane Skinner and Stacy Lanker. And so we will reach out to the two of them and see if they wish to remain on this board. And then we've got, just as an FYI for the board, Beer Board has a term that's expiring at the end of the month as well, and that's Mr. Dana Blair, who's been on there for, he's still coming out of newbie status, I think. He's only been on there since 1994, but he's been serving on there for quite a while. Next, we've got discussion, Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting times. And I know the city administrator and I have been discussing meeting times, overtime, and working on that. With the way that everything is written, the workshops, we can adjust that to 5:30 if everyone can make it. But if we wanted to adjust the meetings at all, that would require a board vote. My concern is many people on our board work regular jobs, so I want to, before we make any changes, make sure that that's conducive, that everyone can do it, because we don't want to make a change and then it excludes somebody because of a work commitment. And so, any thoughts? Graham, Steve?
I'm open to whatever everyone else suggests that they'd like to do.
Yeah, when I first came on, we used to start at 5:30, I think, and then we changed it to 6:30. I guess my idea would be, do you move it back so these folks that have been working all day, and I'm sure they would trade their overtime or their comp time to be home with their families. But then again, you got people that may or may not want to come to the meetings, which very seldom people show up. And then I guess Alderwoman Hobbs is the only one up here that's got a schedule. Well,
I work a regular job. Man. So I would say we probably need to have some more discussion on this at the meeting when everyone's here. This way everyone can weigh in. So I would say keep that as a discussion item for Thursday. And then last item we've got is, and let me add on one thing before I go to 18, is we moved those times back 6 years ago to allow residents to be able to come to these meetings, because our thought was if we move the times back, they will come. And genuinely, we have about 1 or 2 people who are regulars here. That's it. Other than Doug Oakley, he loves being here, but it's part of it. So I'm going to say that the ROI on it is not beneficial when you're factoring in all the various overtime. So moving on to the number 18, motion to approve the 2025 meeting and holiday calendar. You should all have that in your packet. And with the packets, there were 2 versions of this that was out there. So please make sure that you're aware of that, and that would show the removed meetings. If we move forward with condensing some of these committees together, it would remove them from that calendar. But please go through it. This is a little bit easier of a year because thankfully there's no elections to have to work through and make sure that we accommodate there, but it should accommodate for all the different holidays and whatnot there. But go through that, and we will need to vote on either the standard calendar or the alternate calendar.
Mr. Mayor, just a comment on the December meeting, PC and Boza. It's always been an issue sometimes to get a quorum, so I'm just would like to look at perhaps moving that date.
Well, we are actually a little bit ahead of you, and if you hop over to December of 2025, you will see that there are no Planning Commission or BOZA meetings. There's only thing that's on there you'll see is a deadline at the end of December, so that for the January meeting we can have all of the submittals. But this has traditionally been, I know for several months it's hard to get a quorum, and it falls on right in between Christmas and New Year's, so even sometimes getting engineers to show up is a struggle. So so that has basically the submission dates have been moved so that our January meeting will be a little bit heavier, but Gary and Bo said that they love that. So any other questions on the calendar? Okay, moving to mayor and alderman comments. Alderman Waldron, this is last workshop.
Thank you. Everybody can rest assured I'm not going to talk about Chewbacca tonight. But the only thing I'm going to talk about the city employees. Again, I appreciate it. For 18 years, y'all have all been over backwards, the ones that are here and the ones retired. Helped me a lot, and I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate the board. I've been 18 years. I've been able to work with a number of boards, and I appreciate everybody. The time they put in. If you work for City of Laverne, sometimes it's not an easy place. If you sit up here, it's sometimes not an easy place. But I just want to thank everybody on this board or in this room, and the ones that retired, because they have really, really helped me a lot, and I appreciate it. And a lot of things I won't miss from the City of Laverne, but I will miss the people. I miss the people. Great. Y'all been a great bunch of people to work with, and I appreciate it. And y'all have a Merry Christmas. And even won't be sitting up here, I'm only a phone call away, and I just want to thank y'all. Thank you very much.
Alderman-elect Coates.
So I say to Alderman Walden, thank you for your service. Appreciate what you've done with the city and your time served. And I know sometimes at this table, sometimes a tough job to do, but decisions have to be made, and you vote the way you want to vote. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor No.
First of all, I'd like for everybody to hear and watching at home to keep Alderwoman Carol Haas in your prayers. Her dad passed away the other day. Second of all, I want to congratulate Alderman Coates. It's good to have you back. I know, I wish I knew half of what he knew. It made things a lot better. But the last thing is I want to invite, we got everything coming up this weekend with the parade and everything, and it's my understanding that Mr. Doug Oakley and David McGowan will be out there Saturday night on the skate rink. So you guys bring your cameras and come out and get those videos, and we'll get them on YouTube. That's it.
Well, I want to say thank you to everyone, all of our staff, whether it's police, fire, water billing, HR, the library, our water treatment plant, any and every department. There's so many to name. Thank you for a phenomenal year. We've had another year of moving the city forward in a positive direction, and we want to keep building on our successes. Do want to congratulate Graham Coates and Steve No on their election, and look forward to another productive year. Call this meeting adjourned.